The war against Iran has led us to question the definition of some seemingly straightforward terms. An example, what is considered war? And can a war be paused? Today's question, are we still in a ceasefire? In the past few days, Iran has fired several times on both U.S. ships and ships from the United Arab Emirates. Some might consider these acts of aggression as a breaking of the ceasefire. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said this when asked.
So right now, the ceasefire certainly holds, but we're going to be watching very, very closely.
Both Iran and the U.S. claim to control the Strait of Hormuz. The White House says they will be escorting ships through it, but it largely remains closed. No ships making the journey today. President Trump says Iran still wants to make a deal, but they are, quote, playing games. Asked what they could do to violate the ceasefire, Trump said he would let us know and added this.
They know what to do, and they know what to do. They know what not to do, more importantly, actually.
What exactly that is remains a mystery. Late today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the initial phase of the war, dubbed Operation Epic Fury, is over. He described this latest phase, called Project Freedom, in the following terms.
You hear stories about attacks and launching of firing back and forth. It's not back and forth. We are only responding if attacked first. This is a defensive operation.
Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes leads us off to help us sort through the administration's strategy. Nancy, great to see you. So if Operation Epic Fury is over, does that mean the administration is saying the goals of that operation have all been accomplished?
Not at all, Weija. In fact, listening to Secretary of State Marco Rubio today, you got the distinct impression that when it comes to their goals of rendering Iran a non-nuclear state, they're really at the very beginning. Remember, it was just about 2.5 weeks ago when President Trump told you that Iran had agreed to nearly everything and that the U.S. and Iran were going to be working together to remove enriched uranium from underground. Well, Rubio made no mention of that today. In fact, he said that when it comes to the negotiations, the goal right now is just to come up with some level of understanding about what are the topics that Iran has agreed even to negotiate on. So it sounded as if Iran hasn't even fully agreed to discuss its nuclear program. So a very different message coming from the Secretary of State in that briefing room than the very optimistic notes that the president has been striking.
Well, President Trump continues to issue some threats toward Iran. He said earlier today that Iran knows what not to do. What else did he say that really stood out to you?
Well, he claimed that Iran really needs and wants to make a deal. He said that that's what he's hearing from Iran behind the scenes. He also insisted, as his Secretary of Defense did earlier in the day, Weija, that the U.S. has full and total control over the strait. Now, how that squares with the fact that, as you pointed out, the Iranian military is still firing missiles and drones at U.S. Navy warships, at the UAE, how that squares with the fact that no commercial vessels were able to transit through the strait today, even though it is the second day of this new phase, Project Freedom, whereby the U.S. is marshaling tremendous resources to escort commercial vessels through the strait. It's hard to square that claim that the U.S. somehow has full control over the strait. But that's something that the president has said repeatedly as he insists that the blockade is working.
Nancy Cordes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.